For context, for the last 1.5 years, I have been very loving to my boyfriend in different ways, including gift giving, focusing on gifts that are useful, feeding him, paying for our dates, being intimate whenever we get a private moment, hugging him and kissing him whenever I see him, encouraging him, supporting him, being faithful, being available whenever he needs me, and meeting his needs as best as I can. He tends to be fault-finding and mildly paranoid, and this has increased as we have grown closer. Today, we had a conversation about it, and he said that I am not vocal and physical enough about how I feel about him. When I mentioned the enormous amount of care I show him in many ways, he said none of those things matter, that he can take care of himself in those ways, which is not entirely true, although he can meet basic needs, and that this is how most men feel. I am honestly gutted that the time, money, and effort I invest are not important to him, but most of all I want to know how many men feel this way and why. For me, this is how I show love to someone. Yes, it includes affection and intimacy, but it is not solely or mostly that. It is all of these things combined. Story 1. I would be glad to tell you about myself and what I like, but reading your story, I think it is more of a your guy specifically thing than a men in general thing. I mean, even if it were not my particular favorite things, if someone was clearly making an effort to try to see me happy, I would not tell them it did not matter. Story 2. Is basic care a requirement? No. I am more likely to be the cook. Should it be unappreciated? Absolutely not. You both may have different love languages, but you sound amazing and he seems to take that for granted. Maybe take a week off and see if he notices. Maybe take 2 weeks and see if he appreciates it then. My grandmother. When will you stop being mad at me? Grandfather. I don't know. Give me 2 days. Grandmother. Call me in 4. Story 3. It just depends on the person. We are all a little different. I have been making my own food and buying myself useful gifts since I was 15. I would like a woman who appreciates me by doing those things some of the time, but I would much prefer she consistently shows me she is attracted to me with words of affection, encouragement, physical touch, and intimacy. Maybe we could take a love language test together. If he told you, this is how I show affection, and it is not your receiving love language, wouldn't that feel like he does not care how you want to be loved? I would say maybe you should try couples counseling. You might need a mediator because you do not seem to fully understand each other. Best of luck. Story 4. Just being supportive and helping take care of me when I am sick is all I would ask in terms of taking care of me. Everything else I can not only do myself but would want to do for a significant other. Story 5. In my experience, if someone does not love themselves, going above and beyond for them without reciprocation makes them resentful. They find that kind of unearned love suffocating, and they think you are foolish. They start to mentally justify treating you badly. It sounds like nothing you do will ever be good enough for him. You are going above and beyond, including paying for his food, and instead of returning that love, care, and affection and appreciation, he is complaining that you are not constantly boosting his ego enough. He is not worth it. Find someone who will reflect back all the effort you are putting in. Story 6. Time to move on and find someone you are compatible with. Living with a fault finder is not good for your mental health and makes you second-guess everything. It is almost like he does not want you but does not know how to communicate this. So by saying nasty things, he hopes you will leave by your choosing. This could get worse. Story 7. This might sound harsh and I don't mean it to, but it kind of sounds like he doesn't really like you enough. I don't cook, pay bills, or cater to my fiancé all the time because I have a life, and it has never been an issue. He is very happy. If a man truly loves you, you won't have to jump through hoops trying to prove yourself to him. Story 8. He sounds unpleasant. However, I believe there is some truth in the concepts of love languages. It seems your love language is acts of service, while perhaps his is physical touch. I cannot say for sure. Story 9. I am a full-time father, and my wife is the primary income earner. That being said, we switched roles about 13 years ago, and those tasks were not important to me back then. Story 10. The devil is in the details. I'm friends with a couple where the man has a poor appetite, and the woman likes to cook. He is usually not hungry when she calls him for dinner, and he says he will eat it later. She gets very upset with him. She is an excellent cook and cooks every day, but he would much prefer to eat toast for dinner and not be yelled at. She does not cook to look after him. She cooks because she enjoys cooking and demands that he eats when told. That is not giving or caring. That is selfish. I am similar in that I want to decide for myself when I am hungry and what I feel like eating. I enjoy cooking, so a woman trying to cook for me is largely going to be a negative. Too many cooks. You can list all the things you do as checkboxes that are ticked off, but they may not be wanted. It is not being a generous, giving partner if what you are doing is unwanted. That is just doing what you feel like and expecting it to be appreciated. Story 11. I honestly did not realize I cared so much until my most recent relationship, which just officially ended. I do not need to be spoiled, but it would be nice every now and then for someone to offer to pick me up, buy a meal, do the dishes, or something similar. Small gestures matter. Story 12. My wife and I have the same love languages, but I am more you. It is important for you both to understand what you consider giving love. Neither preference is wrong or unimportant. You should have a conversation about how giving is how you show love and how he wants more physical and vocal displays of love. Figure out more what each other wants and try to figure out ways to incorporate what the other wants. It is important not to downplay either person's natural love language. Also, there is no all men think this way or all women think this way. This is not about other people. It is about your relationship and how to make it better for the two of you. Story 13. It can be nice and great. Words of affirmation, such as saying he is awesome, that he is beautiful, and expressing desire for him are important. That is what I understand from your post. He might want you to be more passionate with him. Maybe he expects too much and you are already doing it. An online stranger won't know. Story 14. My ex and I had similar incompatibility. Her love languages were quality time and gift giving, while mine are physical touch and words of affirmation. She loved to buy me gifts when she found out what I liked and my hobbies. Her biggest thing in the evenings was eating dinner together on the couch and watching television. I believe she felt similarly to you in that she was loving me the way she knew how. She was not a very physical person and had a low libido. She also wasn't big on words of affirmation. She had a very "I need you to man up" type of view on men, and we were not able to reconcile those differences. You and your boyfriend will have to come to a compromise if it is going to work. Does he know about love languages or has he researched his? Story 15. I will start with this. You actually sound like an awesome girlfriend, and many men would appreciate your effort. The problem seems to be that you are not meeting the needs of your boyfriend. If he is telling you that those things do not matter to him, ask him what does matter. As silly as it sounds, sometimes the things we think matter do not matter to our partners. My girlfriend needs words of affirmation and love. If I constantly clean the house but do not use my words and expect her to feel loved, she will not. She will feel neglected even though I am showing her love in a demonstrable way. Long story short, ask him what he needs from you. Story 16. Stop doing all the caretaking tasks since he seems to think they do not matter. Start using words of affirmation as he requested, without other caretaking, and see how it goes. Story 17. This is a simple issue regarding love languages. Different people express and receive love differently, and what you value may mean nothing to him, and vice versa. If the relationship is worth anything, you need to have an earnest talk to make sure both of your needs are being met. Story 18. I think you need to ask your boyfriend what makes him happy and makes him feel loved, and do those things. Ideally, he would feel good about the things you do, but everyone is different. I personally do not feel anything when people give me gifts. Intellectually, I understand that it was nice of them to do that, but it does not make me happy or bring joy. Quality time is what typically brings me joy, so if someone only gave me gifts but did not spend quality time with me, then I would not feel great about it. I am trying to demonstrate that while your boyfriend is probably being rude in how he said it, he might be trying to point out that you are doing things that do not really make him feel loved. Could it be the case that he is simply always going to find fault? Maybe, but I would try showing him affection in the ways he likes before jumping to that conclusion. Story 19. Everyone has a different love language. It is important only that your partner recognizes it as such. Story 20. He is a man who loves you and appreciates these things even if he does not need them. That is basic human decency. You are doing too much for him. Get rid of this man. Story 21. I would leave if I were you. I think there would be a long line of men who would shave their legs for a girl like you. Story 22. For the first years I was with my wife, I worked a lot. We did not come from much, and I was trying to put us in a good place. She would make me dinner and do other things. I deeply appreciated it. It made me feel loved, and it felt like we were both contributing to the project of our shared life. When we were in a better spot, I supported her while she went through some school and got set up in a career. She is now a detective. We did this together, and I am incredibly proud of it. If your boyfriend does not appreciate your efforts, he can leave. When you love someone, your focus becomes how you can use your time and your skills to make your life better. It should not be a barter system. Story 23. I don't care. Don't need it. What I expect is that she helps pay for utilities, the food bill, and assists with the chores and house upkeep. I can cook and feed myself just fine, mend my own clothes, wash my own laundry, and so forth, but I'm not going to do all the work by myself. Story 24. The important thing in any relationship is reciprocity. If I am unhappy and stressed, I like my wife to be able to be there for me. This cuts both ways. If I want that, I want to make sure that I am there for her in the ways she needs me to be. If it is all one way, things do not work. Mismatched scenarios happen. Often we have a tendency to try to provide what we would want in our partner's place. Sometimes the give and take is recognizing this, and both parties realizing it is their responsibility to provide what the other wants within reasonable limits. The key is both parties need to do this. If my wife wants me to be more vocal and physical, okay, I can work with that within my own comfort zones and maybe try to stretch those comfort zones some. But I better be getting some of the hugs, affirmation, and support I need in return. I cannot imagine not wanting to do what I can to help my partner be happy, and I would not want to be with someone who did not share that mentality. There are two issues I see here. One, is he willing to reciprocate? If not, you have a problem, and the second issue is irrelevant. You obviously want to be a good partner, but it sounds like your love language and his are different. Be honest with yourself. Is this affection you show him really what you wish you were getting from him? If so, is he willing to do these things for you not because he necessarily wants to, but because he wants you to be happy? If so, what you have is not a rejection but honest feedback and an opportunity to recalibrate so that he is giving you what you need and you are giving him what he needs. Fault-finding and paranoia are not ideal and could be signs of selfish behavior. But if he is willing to move on this, and not just make a brief token effort, he may actually be unhappy himself and simply communicating a genuine mismatch in love language that can be resolved as a win-win for all involved. If you both make an effort but we all have limits on what we can tolerate, you may be looking at fundamental incompatibility finally coming to the surface. This is not your fault, nor is it his fault. But it may be time to consider moving on so you can find people who can provide the things you each need to be happy in the long term. If he is not willing to do anything or just dragging his heels while you are genuinely trying, that is completely his responsibility. Move on. Story 25. Her going out of her way to do things for me is something I appreciate. As far as love languages go, personally, physical touch is on top. It does not have to be sexual either. Can simply be cuddling or hands through my hair. Story 26. You sound like a very similar person to my girlfriend. She also loves to show affection through gestures and gifts, especially with food, although she is an average cook. We touch each other a lot and often say nice things to each other. We embrace and give each other kisses. Maybe this is what your boyfriend needs? Story 27. Married over 20 years, I certainly do not require my partner to do anything for me, and she knows it. However, my general philosophy is that your partner should support you when you need it and bring peace to your mind. I do the same for her. If things are tough, I make sure to take care of her. Throughout both pregnancies, I was fully involved. I grew up in a traditional family and did not like the lack of agency my mother and grandmothers experienced. It was not particularly oppressive, but they had to sacrifice more than the men in terms of personal growth for the sake of the family. I will never claim that men do not sacrifice for family, but I am pointing out the perceived imbalance regarding personal growth limitations in my traditional Christian family history. At least now it is a shared sacrifice between us. We are both professionals in our fields, and we share family duties nearly equally or in a balanced way. Story 28. It sounds like you are trying to be a nice person. It also seems he does not have many opportunities to take on responsibility. There may be some childhood trauma involved. It also appears you are trying to be a parental figure to him. Story 29. Learn his love language. Yours is acts of service. His way of receiving may be words of affirmation or physical touch. Story 30. I am an adult and take care of my own needs. The thought of helping out is appreciated. Keeping track of who does what for whom in a long-term relationship is a red flag. If you have paid attention on social media, you know that men often say they do not care about what their significant other can provide for them. Most men do not want stubborn providers. They want someone who will support them when they are down. Everyone is different and their needs vary. I grew up in a family where my mother once asked me, after I was in a car accident, if I felt that I did not love her. I reminded her of the day she said she would stop being my mother if I attended my father's church. For more than 3 years after, she never said, I love you. As an adult, I appreciate closeness and words of appreciation, encouragement, and love. If my relationship is just going to be me buying gifts on holidays, paying for food and trips, and being intimate, that is pointless and I am not interested. Story 31. Everyone's reactions so far seem to be, hell no, I am a man, I can do it myself. But that is such an odd reaction to me. If I am deeply involved in a project and lose track of time, and my partner brings me food, I am over the moon about it, appreciating how wonderful it is to be cared for. I do not expect it, nor do I demand it, but it is absolutely appreciated because it is not something I would expect. It is a way that a partner's love is conveyed. Different people express love in different ways, and different people accept love differently, hence the term love language. Story 32. This feels like conflating multiple things. I do not need constant gifts or everything paid for, and I do not want to be waited on. For that kind of household or date-related matters, I am really just looking for working together on the shared tasks. The affection aspect is a whole different matter. That is all good. Story 33. You need to find a man who appreciates the care and concern you express. I do not need a lot of care, concern, or gifts, but I at least try to show my appreciation for someone who goes the extra mile. Story 34. I think it should be mutual. I love receiving gifts and not having to cook, but I enjoy doing so in return. I am not the greatest at expressing my emotions, so I try to show it in other ways. Story 35. To me, it is more important that tasks are handled by the person best positioned to take care of them at any given time. For example, if she gets home before I do on a particular day, it is reasonable to expect that she starts dinner. If I work from home a few days a week, it is reasonable for her to assume I handle some household chores during those days. If a relationship does not flow evenly, it is almost doomed to fail. Story 36. I'm not service-oriented, so it's not important to me, but it varies among men. I am more touch-oriented, but some men feel loved most by acts of service, such as being cooked a meal. These things are very important to those men. Acts of service are how they feel loved. Story 37. It depends, I think. If she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, sure, I would appreciate it. If we are partners contributing to both the financial side and everything else, I do not expect her to do more than I would do for her. Story 38. 1. Being cared for by a woman you like is wonderful. Being cared for by a woman you are just using for sex is a nuisance. It sounds like this man is showing some red flags, being manipulative and abusive. You have spent 1.5 years without a ring on your finger. How many other women does he have on call? Red flags. This man is not good for you. Go end the relationship and find someone who truly cares about you. Story 39. He is taking you for granted. It seems like the classic. He is just not that into you. Leave him and find someone else who is crazy about you. Story 40. Damn, Can you be my girlfriend? But let's go half on everything because you seem exhausted. You need some pampering. Story 41. How many of those things did he ask you to do? You do not get to be mad at him for not appreciating something you chose to do. Life does not work that way. It does not matter how much time, energy, or money you spent. He is telling you what actually makes him happy. Stop doing the things that would make you happy and listen. Or do not and be miserable for the rest of your relationship. Story 42. For me, equal effort is necessary in a relationship. My fiancé does not live to serve me. Even when they were jobless, I did not expect everything around the house to be clean or tidy all the time, or meals prepared constantly. I would help out with cleaning and general meal preparation too, on top of working, which can be exhausting. If anything, I am grateful for the opportunity to learn how to balance things even when I am stressed. Story 43. He sounds like a jerk, frankly, and you sound like a pretty good girlfriend. My wife does most of those things for me, and I love her to death for it. She is a real keeper. Story 44. I did not think I wanted or needed it until I had a girlfriend who did it because she wanted to and enjoyed doing so. Then my whole world changed. Story 45. I would not want you to pay for dates myself, but I would appreciate all that, even if it is not so apparent. If it has become routinized, he may have just gotten used to it. Story 46. This is a very case-by-case basis. It is impossible to generalize. Each side should contribute their fair share of equity in a relationship. The form that equity takes will differ, but it must be fair. Your example is too centered on your perspective. You have only mentioned your contributions, not his. It is not possible to determine what is fair without the full picture. Story 47. That's huge for me. I learned from my ex that I am thoughtful, and I realized that I want someone like that too. Story 48. Of almost no importance at all. We share cooking duties for meals we eat together, unless by agreement one of us does all the cooking. Other household duties are split by agreement, so there is never an issue of who does what. I really never want or expect gifts, nor does my wife, except for flowers and a card on special days. I am a grown man and can take care of myself, feed myself, and generally do things that make me happy. Story 49. This, believe it or not, requires more context. I am not saying the original poster is doing this, but maybe someone is so involved in his life that he cannot breathe. Maybe he has not had a moment for himself because she is showing her love in the best way she knows how, but for him, he feels like he cannot do one thing without her guilt tripping him or making him feel guilty. At this point, a lot of men who have experienced this think, I did not think about that. Yes, it is real. Men who have not had much luck with women might say, be thankful for what you have. I wish some women would take care of me and give it up whenever I wanted. No, it is not that simple. Maybe the original poster is not being seen, is being taken advantage of, or is not being appreciated half as much as she deserves. But again, we hear only half the story. Do not be so quick to revert to your protect the damsel in distress nature. I have seen this situation. It has two sides to it. Story 50. It is bad. I will get upset if she does it too much. I do not need a mother, and I do not like other people making decisions about what I need. Story 51. Until I was 25, I couldn't believe I would ever say this. But to me, it's very important that my partner cooks. I found myself in a relationship with a clear distribution of tasks. For example, I take care of the bills, I don't let her carry anything heavy, I repair things, and I build things. She, on the other hand, takes care of the cooking. We share the cleaning responsibilities. What I noticed through our distribution of tasks is that we both thrive in our energies. I thrive in my masculine energy because I get to display skills during tasks that she lacks, and vice versa. This not only boosted our respect for each other, but is also very attractive. I am aware that this kind of relationship is not for everyone. Story 52. What is important is the attentiveness, consideration, and care of these actions. They do not need to be shown explicitly through these actions. Story 53. It is not necessarily needed, but it is a powerful way of reaffirming to someone you love them. It helps them feel comfortable with you, and most doubts and overthinking tend to go away, at least for me. While I am in school and working with very little free time, she makes coming home feel like a true comfort. I am motivated to do the same for her consistently when I am done and caught up. In summary, it is not important or necessary, but very impactful for someone who shares those feelings for you. Story 54. Not important to me at all. I can do things for myself. If someone wants to put forth the effort and do things like that for me, I am certainly appreciative of it, but I let them know that it is not necessary and that they do not have to put themselves out for my benefit. Story 55. My advice to you, dear, is to stop doing things for him. I know it's his way of showing love, but if that's not his language, there is no point in forcing anything. Instead, you can direct all that time and energy spent on something that doesn't matter to him, even though it matters to you, toward what really matters to you. You can also try to speak the same language as him. However, based on your report, this man does not seem mature enough to be worth all this trouble. There is a phrase that says, "Where there is no love, do not delay." Think carefully if it is worth your time and if you want to love with so much effort. I believe love should not be so tiring. Story 56. I feel this is reciprocal. My cooking is not great, but I will make food for my girlfriend and buy her things. She does the same for me. It is a two-way street. Story 57. Personally, I do not ask for much and do not want much. What I really want is love and affection. Everything else is trivial, but I would go out of my way for her. Story 58. It is a very nice gesture but not obligatory, in my opinion. It shows that she cares about me to the point of being generous, but I feel that generosity should be mutual. Story 59. It sounds like your love language is gift-giving and acts of service, and his is not. You can have a conversation with him and ask how he likes to be loved so you can do that. He can also start to recognize that you show your love and affection through gift-giving and appreciate it for what it is. What you are describing is the tough part of relationships. You both can work this out, or you can decide that you are too different in how you show affection. Story 60. Apparently 0% since I do all those things. Cleaning, loading, and unloading the dishwasher, putting laundry in the washer and dryer, yard work, taking care of the dog, and various other house chores. I do not fold laundry, so I guess there is that. Story 61. You're too good for him. From my perspective as an older married man, you're doing everything right. If this person can't see that and is too immature to know when to keep quiet, maybe you need to rethink your relationship with him. So yes, he is somewhat correct that I don't need my wife to take care of me, except when I am sick. When I am sick, I am a bit of a crybaby, but I would never say that, especially if she is making an effort to take care of me. Even as a young person, I knew better than to say something like that. Do I need my wife to cook for me or buy me things? Honestly, I would prefer if she did not. Would I ever tell her that? No, I am not foolish. The main point is that her efforts show me that she cares about me, and that is the most important part. Reading all the things you are doing, original poster, I cannot imagine what more you could be doing for this man. He is stating that you are not vocal and physical enough about how you feel about him. Most men would agree that actions speak louder than words. If this man needs you to say how you feel about him, fine, but to dismiss the efforts you have been making is wrong. Story 62. You sound perfect and what I believe most men look for. My wife does literally nothing for me. I do the cooking, handle the cleaning, do my own shopping, make my own breakfast, everything. My wife does nothing. I think there is some sort of trauma with him, something not right. I would really suggest therapy for him as his actions may cause him to lose a good, really good woman. The only thing you described that I would not like is you paying for dates. I pay for everything in the relationship. I am a bit old-fashioned and see it as my duty. Story 63. Your boyfriend is a man-child. It seems like you spoiled him, and now he expects these gifts and generosity. My wife and I started like this at the beginning of our relationship, but we realized we were trying too hard. We started sharing the cost of our dates. Gifts became for special occasions, and we both offered massages and other activities equally. You seem like a wonderful partner who deserves someone just as wonderful. I know it may be hard, but I would definitely reevaluate your current situation. Story 64. He's saying that I'm not vocal and physical enough about how I feel about him. Hold this in your mind for a second. If you were telling him these things, how would you want him to respond? Maybe you hear you're not good enough, or maybe you hear your efforts are nothing. But is that the message he's trying to send? When I brought the enormous amount of care I show him all around. I do not for 1 second blame you for the feelings you had when hearing that he's not currently feeling all your effort. It hurts. Probably you feel attacked personally. Probably you're coming up with all kinds of stories about him sharing some of the most painful opinions you've heard from others. Let's try to remove yourself from this particular situation and relive a past experience for a second. I gather you've probably felt like he has before, right? You've been the one who feels unsatisfied with a partner. Unless you're totally new to dating, I'm quite certain you've experienced both sides of this conflict. Do you remember how hard it was for you to open up about all your dissatisfaction? To risk him telling you that you're crazy or dumb or entitled or ungrateful, when all you really wanted was some change. Now think about this response of yours. Can you recall a prior lover seeking to tell you all the ways he tried his best? Did it feel validating to your vulnerability? Was that what you were hoping for when you were the one voicing dissatisfaction? Moreover, when you did voice it, were you thinking he just doesn't do anything right? I'm going to put a label to what you said above. It's called defensiveness. So what is your defensiveness doing here? Is he going to feel safer with that response? Are you feeling safer about your relationship? Is the defensiveness helping anyone here? I'm honestly devastated that the sheer amount of time, money, and effort isn't important to him. You're honestly hearing what your brain thinks are the logical conclusions of his request. And here's where the blame you're taking on is so unhealthy. You're trying to love him, and you thought you were doing it right. Now he's telling you that he doesn't feel all the effort you're putting in. Is it that you're just doing it all wrong? Is that likely given the ways he interacts with you? You're probably like me and take things really personally. You want to do well, you don't like making mistakes, and you thought that this time you'd fixed all your previous mistakes. And now your whole world is in limbo because he's been dissatisfied this whole time, and you thought you were putting superhuman effort into building a great relationship. That really hurts. I'd be questioning why I even put in all the effort if it wasn't wanted or appreciated. Again, to roles from past relationships where you were the one expressing dissatisfaction, what did you genuinely hope to do? Have a discussion about your needs, right? To see if some stuff could be tweaked or changed for a better coexistence. If I thought of life like a series of containers whose effort totaled 100%, was your process about absolutely smashing most of the containers to pour into the 2 or 3 things you were missing? Or was it to try to redistribute some extra effort put here over there, a little less work for a little more time together, or a little less drinking, or a little more ambition, etc.? Most of all, I just want to know how many men feel this way and why. I dare say every man has feelings about something unfulfilling in their relationships. But to be vulnerable about it? Not many men are. They rather accept your efforts than risk rocking the boat because they still like the 70% more than they dislike the 30%. But honestly, we're just like you. We have complaints. We have misgivings about our treatment. We have worries about the price of voicing our dissatisfaction. Most of us do, I'd imagine. That said, it's rarely as bad or good as your brain makes it. It's the price of making promises and trying your best to fulfill them. And most men will hold to those promises because we genuinely care about the women we sleep with. It's not as potent as your bonding, but we bond too through those acts. So if you're really hoping to keep this relationship, I'd start with apologizing about getting defensive and start to ask him about what he had in mind when he was vulnerable with you. Story 65. It seems the way you show affection is incompatible with his. Over time, this will only get worse unless you both work on it. It seems like he is unwilling, so I would consider breaking up. I say that as someone who went through a breakup for the same reason. Everything I did was not enough, and I felt underappreciated. Story 66. You seem to have a very high love language, acts of service. Unfortunately, you ended up becoming his mother and not his girlfriend, so there is no room for him to be a man in the relationship. You already do everything. He also seems very insecure. If he feels suffocated, he could tell you before everything gets worse. It seems that you do so much for him because deep down you want him to do the same for you. Take care and pay attention. Love yourself first and then have someone. Otherwise, you will spend your life trying to prove yourself to others, while it is not enough for yourself. Story 67. Men, how important is the woman taking care of you in the sense of making you food, bringing and buying you things you need, and so on? It is not important to me. I would never allow such humiliating behavior. The last thing I want or will accept is someone taking care of me. If I cannot step up and care for myself, I would rather be dead. Story 68. Depends. Are you doing it to keep score, or are you doing it because it is who you are? I do not want anyone doing anything for me if there are strings attached. I dealt with it for 17 years and it got old. Everything she did for me was used as leverage in arguments, and everything I did for her did not matter. Relationships are never equal, but they should balance out. As long as the person is supportive, that is all that matters to me. Funny enough, that is probably the hardest quality to find in women. They love being there when things are good, but the second there are hard times, they bail. Story 69. My wife and I are a team. We take care of each other, but we do not act like the other's parent. We are adults, not children. Story 70. I always appreciate food. I generally do not like gifts. Most gifts are junk, but I have to act like I enjoy them. The things I want are usually very specific. I do not want a new golf club. I want the XYZ golf club with a 2-degree lie angle. As a good cook, most women I dated were very mediocre cooks. I tried to teach them, but they would just forget. Story 71. I think it is important that it goes both ways. Yes, willingness to care for the other is important for both partners. Story 72. I think your love language is gift-giving and acts of service, and his is physical touch and words of affirmation. You are doing everything to show you love him from your point of view, but he is missing what he values the most. You should focus on showing him love through his preferred love languages to save yourself the headache of feeling unappreciated. Story 73. It sounds like you put a lot of thought and care into showing love, and it is tough when that effort is not fully appreciated. People express and receive love differently. Some prioritize acts of service, while others value words of affirmation or physical affection more. It might help to have an open conversation about love languages to better understand each other's needs. I hope things work out for you. Story 74. I have lived alone for the past 25 years because I do not need anyone to do those things for me. Kudos for finding a man who can do that. I have known many men who cannot survive without a woman in their life. However, I would love to have a woman like you around to help with all of that and probably do a better job than myself. It would free me up to spend more energy on landscaping. I am sure I would be eating healthier as well. Honestly, he might just feel smothered by the attention or feel suspicious that anyone would care for him this much. One of my biggest regrets as my younger self was that I would push off women who expressed interest. This was often because I felt there was no way I could live up to their standards. So why bother trying? In hindsight, that was foolish. Story 75. He should be appreciative at least, but I hope it was not a situation where he came to you to tell you how he wants to be loved and you said, "But I do all these things." That is not the appropriate time for that and is just being defensive. If you want to know about those other things, have a separate conversation. If that did not happen and he is also not appreciative generally, that is not okay either. My ex was not very good at giving thoughtful gifts. I was appreciative, but I told her the things that are important to me, and it felt like she was not listening when she gave the gifts she gave. So it was difficult to be appreciative. Yes, unfortunately, sometimes the way you love your partner is not the way they necessarily want to be loved, so it is not as appreciated. Would you be appreciative if you asked him to get you flowers more often and he kept getting you chocolates? Chocolates are nice, but you asked for flowers. So if he is communicating how he wants to be loved, listen to him and do that. You can still do your thing and love him in a way that makes you feel good, but just do both. Sometimes it is not compatible. My ex and I were not, and that is okay. Story 76. As another poster has said, you are showing him care in your love language instead of his. From what you have said, his love languages are words of affirmation and physical touch. He should be showing you affection with gift giving and acts of service, and you should be showing yours through what you say and physical intimacy. Story 77. I have very minimal needs. I want attention, shared interests, meaningful conversation, appreciation, peace, fun, occasional time alone, physical touch all over my body, to take care of the kids while I work, and, of course, exclusive intimate time. Notice that cooking and cleaning are not on my requirements list, but those would be absolutely appreciated. Although I do expect my wife to take herself to appointments, and I would appreciate coming home to a clean house, I do not care enough to do anything about it myself unless she asks me to help her. Then we can have fun cleaning the house together because I believe in having fun while I work. It sounds like your boyfriend does not show appreciation for the things you do for him. He takes it for granted. That is not husband material. Story 78. It is not important at all. What is important is being willing to do some of that if I really need it, and vice versa. You are partners. Story 79. Two things. 1. People's love languages are different. We all want to be loved in different ways, and we all show love in different ways. We need to adjust to our partner's love language to make sure they feel loved in the way they need. Your boyfriend seems to be very selfish in that he is only willing to see things from his side. You can show him your social media post that no one is on his side. It is fine for him to communicate that he wants to feel loved differently, but he should not discount the way you have tried to show him. If he cannot show growth and willingness to see things from your side, end the relationship. Story 80. Sounds like he does not appreciate what you do for him. If he would like you to talk about things verbally, he needs to bring it up and discuss it. To answer your question, I like a cooked meal, and being given things is nice. Generally, I prefer to buy what I need myself because in my experience, if I talk about wanting something, I will have a specific item in mind. Taking care of each other should be reciprocal. Story 81. You are worth appreciating. If he is not doing it now, he never will. Someone out there would be very appreciative to have you. Your contributions and thoughtfulness are worth much more than being dismissed by someone who is looking for faults. Story 82. I am coming in at a different angle here. He has a tendency to be fault-finding and mildly paranoid, and it has increased as we have grown closer. Today, we had a conversation about it, and he mentioned that I am not vocal and physical enough about how I feel about him. This sounds like just the surface of some personality issues that are not going to improve. I would not be surprised if there are other things he is doing and saying that you are not discussing here, and that is fine. You do not need to if you are not comfortable. If that assumption is correct, there is nothing you can or will ever be able to do to fix him or get him to see things differently. If that is the case, this is not a lack of appreciation for what you do for him. It is his inability to appreciate what you do because that would require him to acknowledge you as something other than an object. If my assumptions are right, you need to leave now. Know that if you leave, he will become very friendly and loving very fast, and that behavior will last until he is sure you are not leaving, after which the current behavior will return. If you decide to leave, make a plan with trusted friends and family who will not tell him anything under any circumstances. Do not say a word to him. Learn how to use the gray rock method and get proficient at it. When you are ready, execute the plan and go no contact. Be prepared for him to be very persistent and convincing. Good luck. Story 83. I would rather have a not-so-nice girlfriend. I would not know how to react if someone cooked me dinner or bought me a birthday present. Just be mean to me instead and let me dote on you. Story 84. I work 60 hours a week. If she wants to be a part of my life, I want her to cook me dinner. I am not coming home to no dinner. I can do that single. Story 85. What matters about those gestures is not that you are holding up your end of the bargain, but that you care about him instead of what he can provide. Those gestures only mean anything when he cannot provide them for himself. If he works a long shift, cook dinner. If he hates doing the dishes, do the dishes. That sort of thing. Story 86. Might be important for a man-child, but not for a responsible adult. Treat your partner as a partner and understand their love language. Try to fulfill their sexual needs. These things are more important. He seems a bit unappreciative, though. Story 87. Equally important on both sides, we must live as a powerful team and work together. It's Bonnie and Clyde. It's Romeo and Juliet. It's Layla and Majnun. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.